We're on the line now with Garth, who has 7 runners at Hollywood Bet Scottsville on Sunday, the 11th of July. And we're all looking forward to the return of his outstanding sprinter, Captain Fontaine, off a very long rest. But more about that in a moment. Garth, good morning. How are you?
I'm well, thanks, Graham.
Right, let's get straight into it. Starting in the first race, which is a maiden juvenile plate for fillies. You saddle a first-timer here. Number 12, Crusade. Your comment to the guys that put the race card together. Nice filly, will need the experience. So is it fair to say you're not expecting too much on debut?
No, and she's got an apprentice on that. I actually asked permission to let her ride a first timer. She's got the young girl Rachel on it. She's a nice filly, but she'll need the experience. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into the exotic bet action. We've got 9 races on the card, so the first race doesn't form part of any of the exotics. Third race, for David Ferraris, you saddle number 2, Bristol Bow Fighter, who's got that come-on look. He's only had the 2 starts, both down the straight. You're stepping him up to the mile. He looks the one to beat.
Yeah, he's a nice little horse. He's doing well at home. He definitely needs the ground. He's sniper shots full brother. We're hoping for a big run from him. We're just monitoring. We've got a lot of, and I'm not making excuses, we've got a lot of viruses running around with snotty noses and swollen legs, so we're just a little bit careful. But in saying that, if he takes his stand on Sunday, he's a big runner.
Obviously very much in his favour that he's drawn in gate number 2 at his first foray around the bend.
Yes, that'll help him. I mean, obviously he hasn't been around the turn, and Mosler can be a bit tricky sometimes. But the 2 draws, he comes out the pen as well. He can position himself nicely, and I think the distance will probably suit him.
Unfair question. You all work closely together at Summerfeld. Have you seen Dean Canema's number 1, Give Me a Star, working around you by any chance?
No, but I think it's a first timer running around the turn, and he's well bred. So I haven't seen him, but it's a good female run that he comes out of.
Okay, so let's go on to race 4, which is the first leg of the pick 6. Another key runner for you on the day. You've got some really nice runners at Hollywood Bet Scottsville on a Sunday, including, of course, in the 4th race, number 1, African Skyline. 2-year-old son of Magog, which might suggest that he needs a touch further, but out of a trippy mare, there's plenty of speed there. You must have been very well pleased with his debut effort when 4th behind Faustino.
Very good first run. He's running against the older maidens, but at the same time, they all turn 3 in August. So, yes, I'm expecting that natural improvement, and I think he should be in the first 4.
Okay, so he's done well since his debut.
Yes.
All right, Garth, now we're going to move on to race 5, which is a maiden plate over 1,200 metres. Now, not much depth to this race. In fact, form is very thin. You saddle Path to Fortune, who's only had the 1 start. Far back in the sense that he finished 9th of 15, but only 7 lengths behind. It was also a similarly weak race. What can we expect from Path to Fortune?
We can expect definite improvement. That was 1,000. He was rushed off his feet. He didn't quite know where he was. He's a horse that did suffer a little bit of encephalitis about 2 months ago, but he's over that, and I'm expecting him to run a good race.
Now, of course, the key horse on the entire race day from an exotic perspective is the return to racing action in race 6, a graduation plate of number 2, Captain Fontaine. Now, the conditions of the race clearly suit him. He's the best rated horse in the field. He's had only the 2 starts. He's won both, but the last time we saw him in action was all the way back on the 23rd of August. We know the story. He was meant to go overseas, and there were all of those problems with the transport, the protocols, etc. He's back at home. Are you expecting a winning return to action?
Oh, look, he's a very nice horse, and he came back with obviously a winter coat from the quarantine station. He got colic in the quarantine station and had to go to hospital. That broke the quarantine, so he had to restart the quarantine, and David said, no, that's enough for him, send him back to the Garth. So he got back here with a woolly coat, and obviously we had to get him going. But he's a natural athlete, and he just improves every day. He's obviously not at his peak or not at his top, but in saying that, he's looking well. He's thrown that coat off. He looks like $1 million, and I'm expecting him to run a very good race.
Well, certainly if the handicappers are to be believed, he's got this race at his mercy, all things being equal. And obviously, he's been down a difficult path, so all things may not be equal. The only runner that perhaps can threaten him at the weights is 11 Stella Act, who's highly rated as well, and Gabriel Pieterse takes 4 of his back. But obviously, we're all hoping and holding thumbs that Captain Fontaine will make a winning return to racing action. Always nice to see good horses win. But you have a stablemate in the race, number 3, Final Destiny. What can we expect from him?
Yeah, he'll run well as well. He's a nice one-time winner, and I think he's got a little bit of a future for him. Yeah, you can't really look at the handicapper. This was won 2 races, and he's a 98. It didn't bother me at the time when he won by 5 lengths because he was going to Hong Kong. But obviously now with a 2-time winner, 98 is quite high. But in saying that, I think he's a class act, and I think if he doesn't need it too much, I think he'll be right there. The big horse.
Right, the 8th race, tricky little fillies and mares handicap over 1,500 meters. Only 8 runners. You saddle number 4, Blush of Dawn. You're trying a little bit further again. 2 runs back, she ran over 1,400 meters, went close up behind Georgina Rose, and you know all about Georgina Rose. I quite like this filly on Sunday. I know it's a very competitive open race, but I think she ought to give plenty of cheek. How's she coming into the race?
Yeah, she's doing. I've never been able to switch off. Even with the first lockdown when we weren't racing, I couldn't turn off. You can't. She just works well every day. You just cannot give her a day off. She'll end up killing the jockey. So she's very well in herself. She just needs to be sat on. She'll run a good race. The 1,500 meters might be 100 meters too far, but in saying that, she won't stop.
Garth, you are the champion trainer here in KZN, and looking at the stats, you're going to get that award again this year. You've had a wonderful year. You've had a wonderful 2 seasons here in KZN. And so to our champion trainer of KZN, Garth Puller, thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. Cheers.